Cumberland. Welcome back to my kitchen. I am cooking for the Cumberland Library again, and today I'm making French onion soup. And it is a perfect day because it is yucky and cold. Actually, it's freezing cold, and it's icy and terrible out there. So a nice bowl of French onion soup would be perfect on a day like today. All that melty cheese and good warm soup will warm you right up. So I'm going to tell you what you need, and then I'm going to get started. I'm going to have to pause a couple times because there's a couple things that take a little bit of time, and who wants to watch onions caramelize? Nobody. Okay, so let me tell you what you need. Obviously onions. It's French onion soup. I couldn't find any really big ones. You really need like 2 large onions. I'm going to end up doing 4. But anyway, onions, obviously. Beef broth, obviously. Maybe you didn't know that. Maybe you didn't know it was a beef-based stock. I've got French bread. That's going on the top. You don't want to buy a bread that is like big because it's got to sit on top of our crocks. So it's got to be something that fits in there. And I've even seen where, you know, people use 2 slices of bread. Do whatever you want. It is your soup. Make it your own. You need Worcestershire sauce. Butter. That's my phone. Garlic. Bay leaf. Did I already say that? Probably not. Flour, sugar, salt and pepper, and cheese. So you can use any kind of cheese. It's got to be a really good melty cheese. You can use mozzarella if you want to get that cheese pull. I'm using gruyere. You can use cheddar, I guess. Really anything you want as long as it's a good melting cheese. And that, I think, is it. So again, I've got these little crocks. They need to be oven safe. They are going in the oven. This one's got something in it. Okay. I'm only doing 2, but typically I'm going to make enough for 4, but I'm only going to do 2 tonight because hubby's not going to be here. Anyway, but you can make the soup and then just keep the soup, do as many crocks as you want, so like do them as you need them. So the second part of it, which is where you put it in the oven and melt the cheese, you can do that later. So you can make the soup ahead and do the cheese and bread part later. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a sec because I gotta regroup. Sorry, we interrupted the video to find out what the heck my son wanted, but I texted him, so he texted me back. So anyway, yeah, I got an answer from him, which is kind of rare, so I wanted to see what it was. Anyway, enough about that. So we're gonna get going on the onions. That's first. I'm going to caramelize the onions first, and that can take a while because if you rush it, they'll only end up burning. I'm going to do 4 because it calls for 2 large, and oddly, the supermarket does not have any large. I'm just going to show you how I cut them, and in order to not bore you to death, I might pause it while I cut the rest, and then resume. So, cut them in half. Get rid of the skin, whatever you call this. That skin, I don't know what this is called. I'm sure it has a name. I don't know what it is. Okay. So we're gonna, actually I'm gonna cut this off. I'm so used to dicing them. I leave the end on when I dice them so it holds it together while I dice them, but I'm just gonna cut them like this. You could also cut them, it doesn't matter, like this. I'm kind of thin. I don't think anybody wants big giant chunks. Okay, like that. We'll do another one. Cut the end off. So if you're dicing, keep the root on. Cut it in half. And then when you dice it, the root holds it together. It's not falling apart while you're trying to dice. Do this one like this. I will just keep you on while you can fast forward me anytime you want. But I don't think you should. Okay. Cut them kind of small. Thin, I should say. Get that out of the way. I've got 2 down. 1 to go. I actually haven't really made this in a long time, but it is one of those long lost dishes that I just forgot to make, and I thought, well, it's freezing out. I love making soup. What's not to love about soup with cheese? And truth be told, I often put cheese on top of my soup. Not like where you melt it in the broiler kind of thing, but I always sprinkle a little cheese on top of my soup. I sprinkle cheese on a lot of things. Big fan of cheese. So is my husband. Alright, I'm going to do 1 more. Probably more than I need. Sometimes when I'm trying to figure out, I need a little more, but not a whole lot more, I'm like, alright, split the difference, let's do a half more. You can always add more. Or not put it all in, you know, when you start making the actual soup. Alright. That is that. So we are going to use, where's my towel? I don't have a towel. I have to wipe my hands on this. Okay. Butter. We need 3 tablespoons of butter. Because why not? 3 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3. It's like a lot of butter because it is. Let's get that melting. Okay. There's a little onion paper in there. Here we go. Should have cut it up small so it wouldn't take so long. I'm going to grab a towel. I don't have to keep wiping my hands on myself. And I can kind of chop this up in the pan so it'll go a little faster. I don't want to bore you to death. In the meantime, do a little cleanup. I try to be neat while I cook. Does not always work. Most of the time it does. I've gotten better. My husband does the dishes, so I try to not leave him a huge mess when he's cleaning up. So I've got a half an onion I didn't use. I think this is going to be plenty. And get that moving around. So caramelizing onions is different than sweating onions. When you're sweating onions, you're going to put salt on them right away to draw out the moisture, and you're not trying to make them brown. You want them to keep their color. So that's sweating onions. Caramelizing is you're trying to get that nice brown color. So you don't want to pull out the water, the moisture from them. You want to let them cook slow over probably, 30 or 45 minutes, but I think we'll try to rush it a little for the sake of the video. But if you turn them up too high, then the edges burn. You don't really get that really deep caramelized flavor. So I think we're good there. Toss these in. Be careful when you're tossing something into hot butter or hot oil. I have burned myself more times than I care to discuss. I have scars to prove it. Where's the thing? Hi. Scar everywhere. Scar everywhere, scar. So we want to throw, to help with the caramelization, because caramelization is about the color comes from the sugar. So we want to help it out a little bit by throwing just a half a teaspoon of sugar on there. And not the salt yet, because we don't want to pull the moisture out of it. So we're going to let that go. I have it on high right now just to kind of get it going, but I'm going to turn it down and kind of just let it go and toss them around every now and then until they start to get that beautiful, like I could just eat a bowl of caramelized onions. They're so good. So again, not to bore you to death, I'm going to pause, and when these start to get nice and brown, we'll come back and we'll throw the rest of the soup together. Okay, I've got some really nice color on these. You see them? They are nice and brown. I kind of cranked it a little more than I normally would for the sake of getting the video done, but it's fine. There's a couple little burnt edges, but burnt tastes good as far as I'm concerned. All right, so now we're going to throw some garlic in and just let that get fragrant just for like 30 seconds or so. I turned it way down. You don't want to do garlic on high, and you don't want to put it in right away when you do the onions because it won't survive. It'll just be burnt and bitter. Unlike onions, garlic does not taste good when it's black and burnt. So you just want to get that scent of garlic. And then we are going to put a tablespoon of flour. And this is going to give some body to the soup. Just sprinkle that over and move it around. Cook off that raw flour taste just for a minute or so. And the bottom of the pan has a lot of the brown from the onions, but that's going to get picked up when we put the broth in there. So that's what we're looking like. Let that cook off for a minute, just to give a little thickness and a little body to the soup. And then we're going to put our beef stock in, maybe. So it's going to take a whole one of these, 4 cups. And we're going to stir it as we put it in. We're going to pick up all that stuff on the bottom, which is flavor. Come out. Why are you sluggish? There's a little foil thing in there. There we go. I'll pop it back up. Just stir that around. Put that all in there. Obviously, if you want to make it for more people, double the recipe or however you need to do it. Add more onion, add more everything. And get rid of that. We'll recycle that. I'm going to turn this up again. Get that going. And I'm going to be scraping the bottom as I go to get all that goodness off the bottom. When you saute something or caramelize, when you're doing a mirepoix, so your carrot, onion, and celery when you're starting a soup, and you get all that brown stuff on the bottom, that's called fond. And you want to scrape that up and get that in with your broth, because that's the yummy part. So I'm going to put a teaspoon of Worcestershire, and I am going to salt. I could have salted the onions when they were done, when I was putting the garlic in, but that's okay. I'm going to put some pepper. Okay, I think we're done with the soup part. I'm going to put a bay leaf in there. Bay leaves, because they are a whole thing. It's not a ground up herb. They take a long time to extract the flavor, so you really don't want to bother putting them in a soup unless they're going to be in there for a good 45 minutes or so. I can never seem to get a whole one. I don't know what the story is there. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. Put one of those in there. So this is going to simmer for a while, so I put a bay leaf in there. If you're going to just simmer something for 10-15 minutes, you're not going to get much flavor out of a bay leaf. Okay. That looks nice and rich. So I'm going to let that simmer for a while, and I will be back in a little bit, and we're going to put the whole thing together and finish up. Alrighty, it is time to ladle and melt that cheese and enjoy our French onion soup. Okay, so I put the crocks on a cookie sheet so I can pull them both out together and I don't have to try to handle this, and plus if it bubbles over, make a mess of the oven, so I highly recommend that you put it on a cookie sheet. I use in my crappy old, everybody's got a cookie sheet that looks like this. It used to be like metal and now it's black. But yeah, I'm not going to try to clean that because it's just going to happen again. It's clean. It's all right. It's all good. Okay, so let's ladle. I'll try not to get it everywhere. I tasted it. It's absolutely delicious, flavorful, yummy. I'm going to ladle it in here. And give this guy some. Now sometimes this is served as an appetizer, so you know, do a half a bowl if you're trying to not have them be so full that they can't eat their meal. I'm not going to put any more than that, and I cut 4 pieces. Maybe I'll put 2 per. So I'm going to be evil and put a little cheese down first, a little bread, a little cheese, and a little bread. What is flashing? Okay, we got a light bulb going on. It's perfect timing. I've got the oven on broil, and a little bread. Do what you want. 1 piece of bread. You can cube the bread if you want, instead of having a whole piece of bread in there. You want the cheese last, obviously, because you want it to hit the broiler and get all melty. So I'm going to get that under the broiler very delicately. Can't see, but that's what I'm doing. Okay, now when you put something under the broiler, don't go anywhere, because it doesn't take long for that to melt and get all brown or burnt, whatever. I've burned marshmallows while I was doing a video. So yeah, don't walk away. Never walk away when you're boiling something, and don't walk away while you're caramelizing the onions, because even though they take a long time, you have to keep stirring them, and you want to move them around so that they all get a chance to hit the pan. And see, I'm watching them. It's not going to take long, and I don't want burnt cheese. You want to move your rack up a little more. Move the rack up high so that the flame is getting at the food. I took a little test. I always test my soup or whatever I'm making before I serve it, because I might need to re-salt it or pepper, whatever else. Also, doesn't hurt to sample your cheese. You don't have to, but I just made that up. It's good though. Alright, let's not get distracted. We gotta check. It's bubbly. Well, it's not bubbly enough. Because you kind of want the edges of the bread to get crispy too. Well, that's going to take a little bit. Let's eat some more cheese. Lots of cheese. I shredded my cheese. You could put a whole piece if you want. It'll melt faster if it's shredded. And you can use just shredded cheese. You don't have to shred your own. I just use my box grater to shred it. Let's check it again. Oh yeah. About another minute. Then we're gonna let it cool a little bit, because I have burned my mouth more times than I care to discuss. I burned my mouth really bad recently, and it was agony for about a week. got impatient when I was eating my dinner and I burnt my mouth. My own fault. Let's see. Let's see. Should we? 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I have the timer on, but I'm not really using it. And we're going to use 2 hands to take it out because we do not want to spill this and create a disaster. I think it's been 30 seconds. Let's go. Let's do it. Yeah, because the bread's starting to get a little bit burnt. I hate these oven mitts. Very much so. Well, what is this? I can't grip anything with this. Okay, enough about that. I'll show you. Can you see it? Can you see it? A little crusty and the cheese is all melted. All right, let's go. Let's burn our mouth. No, let's not. I'm going to turn the oven off. All right, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna let this cool because I don't want a burnt mouth. All right, I decided to sit down and be a civilized human being and eat my soup. And I already took a bite and it didn't burn me, so I think we're good. So I'm going to dig in. So the idea is to cut the bread and get some soup, get some onion. Oh, I got a cheese pull. It's very hot. It's okay. We're going to be patient and blow on it. Wow. That is so good. That is very yummy. I mean, what's not to like? Now, obviously, if you don't like onions, you're not going to like this. But it's delicious. And who doesn't like onions? I know a lot of people don't. It's okay. Fish pull. It's so good. Alright. That's enough. I'll finish it in a little bit. Okay. So, come back next month. It's typically about the third Wednesday of the month. And next month I'm doing skillet lasagna. Then I'm doing another one-pot thing in March. And then maybe I'll try to do a dessert in April. I know a lot of people like to watch baking shows. But yeah, so come back and check it out again and check out all the other videos I've done. There's tons of them there. Something for everybody. And come see us at the library if you're local. Check out our webpage and our YouTube and all the pages, Instagram, all that good stuff. And we've got a lot of stuff going on all the time. So yeah, come visit us. We'd like to see you. I will see you soon.